But if we could see beyond visible light just a little bit, and some people can, you would see overshadowing these people anything but a human entity. And it's these entities that have passed through what we call history, and they have been the cement, the guiding force that has brought this conspiracy through to the present day. Because people have asked me in the past, quite rightly, I understand it, why would someone give their life to this conspiracy, this global takeover, in 1500 or 1650 or 1820, when they knew they were never going to be around to actually see it happen, which is what they're trying to do now, playing the cards they're playing now? The answer to that is they were just vehicles. These entities are the common force passing through history, which has led this conspiracy to where it is today.
And the idea is to so tie up the world that they make everywhere in the world dependent on everywhere else in the world, which means that no one has control over their own destiny. It's all in the hands of other people and situations that they have no control over. That's the idea. People talk about the prison planet. The prison planet is the human mind in prison. That's what it is. But if you keep going, because you want to know the origin of this, then you go out of this reality called visible light. You go out of this into other levels of reality.
If you go to a stage hypnotist show, what do you see? You see stooges on the stage, and then you see the hypnotist, and he goes along and he uses his techniques to implant a belief in reality into the stooges. He might tell them there's an elephant in the audience. He might tell them that the woman next to the person is naked. And when you start to understand how we create reality and decode reality, you can see how simple this is. The brain is decoding reality like a computer decodes information and puts it on the screen. However, if you program the computer to read the information in a certain way, then it will. And in the same way, if you can program the human brain to read information in a certain way, then it will. Example, in a hypnotist stage show, I've seen people being given a potato and being implanted with the belief that it's an apple. Now, when they eat that, normally they would reel back a raw potato, but they don't, because the electrical signals carrying the taste of that potato go to the brain and normally would be decoded as a potato. Because of the implanted belief it's an apple, it decodes that as an apple, and they actually taste an apple. I've seen people in a hypnotist stage show being told that when a certain code is given, they're going to smell something horrible. And he gives the code, and the line of them go, "Oh my God!" This is how it's possible. Now you take that onto the collective level, and you think that when we're watching television, our brainwaves go into the same brainwave state as they do in a hypnotic trance. And what that does is open the mind, open the psyche to programming from, and what do we call those things between the adverts? What do they call them? Programs, television programs. It's television programming. So we think of a hypnotist programming people in a stage show, but the media, not least through television, is constantly programming the human psyche with a sense of itself, a sense of the world, a sense of what's happening in the world, a sense of what to think about people like politicians and Obama, what to think about the way the system works. If we succumb to that program, and vast numbers of programming, and vast numbers of people do, then we're simply going to go through robotically, just like the stooges on a stage hypnotist show, and we're going to react to the world, and we're going to behave in a way that we've been programmed to behave in. And this programming is 24/7. And another aspect of this program we laughingly call education. If you were sitting around a table, I don't know, a century or so ago, and you said, right, okay, we want to turn out children as the adults we want them to be, So they're easily controllable, they're easily manipulatable, and they'll see the world and themselves the way we want them to see it. Now, any ideas around the table how we could do this? Someone might say, well, I'm not sure they'll have this, but I tell you what would be perfect. We take the children from their parents at a very, very early age, and throughout their formative years, up through school and college and university, we have control of what goes into their heads, into their minds, like at least 5 days a week, most days of the year. That would be perfect, because we turn out almost everyone to see the world the way we want them to see it. Well, that's exactly what they've done. And now we're having Obama talking about having American children at school for longer and all the rest of it. And it's all part of the process of, A, giving the children more time under the state's control and influence than the parents, and also having more time to program the young people to see the world and become the adults that they want them to be. There's one area that's very important to understand in how people apparently come out of nowhere to positions of power and influence, like they say, or lots of people believe that Obama came out of nowhere. He was prepared for a very long time to do what he's doing now. These people do not do ad lib. They don't do make it up as you go along. It's all projected a long way forward. And it's also extraordinary the number of people, even in the apparently lower positions of power and influence within the church, within entertainment, etc., who turn up as expressions of this bloodline elite. And I've understood this over the years, having met people who've been on the inside. I'll give you one example. I communicated with a guy who lives in America now, living under another name, but he was an unofficial Rothschild. His father was the guy who started the Rothschild wine estates in France. And he told me how the Rothschilds and these bloodline families not only interbreed with many different women to produce the bloodline, but they actually have sperm banks, because the sperm bank holds the genetic code that they operate on. And part of that genetic code is it's had deleted from it any feeling of empathy. Very, very important point. These people do not have the ability to empathize with the consequences for others of their actions. So 3,000 dead on 9/11, well, there's no emotional consequence at all, because that ability to empathize, which is a fail-safe mechanism of human behavior, has been deleted from the genetic structure, purposely. But this man, who was an unofficial Rothschild, one of thousands and thousands, this guy was telling me, who were produced by the breeding programs and the artificial breeding programs, was designated a specific role, and that was to have a position within the Christian church, even though they were all practicing Satanists, and undermine it and dictate its direction from within. Because they produce these children, and they bring them up under different names, you will not have a situation where every president's a Rockefeller, where every prime minister is a Rothschild. You get the picture. Because they come through different names. They're called Clinton, they're called Bush, they're called Obama, etc. But forget the name, the genetic structure, the bloodline is the same. And this bloodline filters down, not just at from the high positions, but right out into mainstream society. Why do some artists who have a certain amount of talent, some not very much, why do they get picked up by the corporations to become these big influencers of young people and other people through the entertainment and the music industry, and others with incredible talent never get off the ground? It's because they are chosen. The scale and fine detail in which these opinion formers right across society, from entertainment, media, through to politics, etc., are actually brought through from childhood to do those things is absolutely incredible. And when the lid really comes off this, and it's coming off, then people are going to look at the world they've been living in and see just, even if people now think, yes, it's a controlled world, whoa, wait till you see the level of control. And they have their people all over the place in all these different institutions, religions, etc., to push society in the desired direction.
When he left the body, everything from the beginning, my birth, my ancestors, my children, my wife, everything comes together simultaneously. I saw everything about me and about everyone who was around me. I saw everything they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There is no time, there is no sequence of events, no such thing as limitation of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be simultaneously. That is who we are.